Like my deceased father-in-law, as we say in the Catholic Church, no purgatory for this guy. 5 daughters, straight to heaven. And by the way, I say to every young man thinking of getting married, marrying a family of 5 or more daughters. I did. My wife's the oldest of 5 sisters. You know why? One of them will always love you. Not the same one. One of them will always be on your side. That's the biggest advantage of marrying into 5 daughters. Like my deceased father-in-law, as we say in the Catholic Church, no purgatory for this guy.
All right, so you'll have to forgive me because culturally and upbringing-wise, I don't know what that means. No purgatory for this guy means nobody's stuck between heaven and hell after death to determine where they go. And they go straight to heaven because having 5 daughters is difficult and hard, as such that I don't get it, but I appreciate I'm missing something here, culturally, But let's just get to the creepy whisper of Joe Biden.
5 daughters, straight to heaven. And by the way, I say to every young man thinking of getting married, marrying a family of 5 or more daughters.
I say it to every young man thinking of getting married. Marry into a family of 5 or more daughters? Dude, I don't even know families of 5 or more kids, let alone one who had over 5 kids and had 5 daughters. What a bizarre thing to even think. But hold on, why? Why?
I did. My wife's the oldest
Bring
of
it,
5
Joe.
sisters.
Bring it.
You know why?
Why?
One of them will always love you.
Not the same one. Not the same one. Even better.
That's the biggest advantage of marrying into 5.
Oh, now, that would be funny enough if it were just for Joe's creepiness all around. That would be bizarre enough if it were just for Joe's creepiness all around. It's especially creepy knowing that his son, Hunter, ended up hooking up with his deceased son's wife, and whether or not they were, he found one that loved him before the decease, to be determined. Nicole says V's were not on locals. I triple checked and quadruple checked. Let me refresh because I don't want to make the same mistake twice. Hold on, refresh here. I know that okay, so hold on. How do I refresh? VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. I can show you what I'm looking at. It was here, and now it doesn't seem to be refreshing. Am I on the internet? I'm on the internet. Is Viva Barnes Law locals is locals down because it's not working on my computer? Okay, so the son of a bee sting. Okay, hold on. We've got a problem, and it's not my problem. It's not my fault. I'm going to close the window. I'm going to go back up to an article that I had in the back and use that page. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com is not loading. So I didn't forget because I know that I hooked it up. Locals appears sluggish. Let me just get this out of here. Just to show you what we're looking at. Because it's not boot. Look, I presume there's a problem with the website because it's actually not low. It's not booting. If I can show you here. See now here, I put in Viva Barnes Law and I'm hitting enter and it's not loading. So we'll give it a few minutes because I think it's something with locals website and not me. Because I see my 3 locations here. I got YouTube, Rumble, and VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. Oh, I hit the URL about 35 seconds ago and nothing. So it's let's do it on Rumble. I'll give everybody the link because we are live on Rumble. That's the important part. We're going to do 2 segments on YouTube before we head over to Rumble, and we're live on Rumble. Let me just hit refresh here and make sure. If it weren't technology, if there were no technology, there'd be no glitches, and if there were no glitches, well, we wouldn't have technology to be doing this wonderful stuff in the first place. Yeah, it's not loading up on YouTube on Rumble. So when it does go, okay, so now it just loaded. Now I'm going to go to the live stream, which I see here. It's very, very sluggish. Okay, but we should I can't do anything about that. So now I'm going to go link to Rumble is in the pinned comment. So yeah, Joe Biden it's bizarre. Marry into a family with 5 daughters because one of them will always love you. Oh, yeah. And when I was a kid, the little boys would play with the hair on my leg and make it go straight up, and I would sit there mildly entertained by what was going on. Okay, now it's booted up onto the page. It says it's loading. Okay, I'll get that in a second. He gave a speech yesterday on a piece of legislation that they just passed that'll make it easier for veterans to get aid compensation for illnesses that they've acquired as a result of or in the context of their service. I mean, it makes sense that it's sounds good as a bill. I don't know what's in it. I haven't read the bill. I just watched Joe Biden give a very, very bizarre presser on this. I got to play you. I posted the 3-part highlights to vivabarneslaw.locals.com, and I didn't post one of them to Twitter. And it's the one where he talks about 9/11, where he's talking about servicemen and Agent Orange, and then he says that the fighters, and he has to correct the firefighters of 9/11 who all got ill as a result of their first response to 9/11. I couldn't find any articles contemporaneous with the time, but I remember it when they were saying the air is fine, don't worry, everything, go and live your lives, the air quality is fine. And then 20 years later, people are still dropping dead from cancer because the air was never fine, despite what they were told. Set that aside. Talking about Agent Orange, then skips into 9/11 and says that the firefighters who got cancer were very helpful for him in putting forward this or passing this piece of legislation. It's just another example of how the government lies to you at the time and then apologizes to you 20 years later. And I think this will be another case of it. Barbarisa Ariane. So good morning, everybody. We've got news. I'm always, for those of us who operate in this space, you're always torn between wanting to be first and wanting to be right. I'm not so much torn by the wanting to be first because the price that comes with in terms of being wrong or getting the analysis wrong or getting the facts wrong, that balance is too far in favor of not being first if it increases the likelihood of being wrong, because once you're wrong, you can be first later on and nobody's going to care because you burnt them in the past. So the news breaks yesterday, and we'll get into it in a bit, but this is just a segue. The Donald Trump Mar-a-Lago documents unsealed. Julie Kelly broke it. We're going to cover it. And, people pounce on it. The story. FBI authorized to use lethal force. And I just wanted to make sure I understood it. I read Julie Kelly. I read the propagandists on the other side, the Democrats. I listened to Big Brain Barnes in his nightly Bourbon with Barnes over at vivabarneslaw.locals.com. And I've even, listened to some of the people on the right, the conservative right, or the, I don't think these delineations mean anything anymore. I think I understand it. I think I've got my own interpretation, and we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the election results coming out of Georgia. Fani Willis handily wins the primary in Georgia. Scott McAfee handily defeats Robert Patillo, who I had on the channel. I like him, even though I think he's got some logical fallacies in his reasoning. But there's some scandal brewing as relates to Sonia Allen defeating, who did she defeat again? Flynn Brody. And apparently, we're not talking like, Dominion vote flipping ballot hard thing. We're just talking about, what's the word? Oh, what's it called when you put into operation? Mobilizing the Fani Willis political apparatus out of Georgia. Sonia Allen, a woman who by all accounts is, I won't say incompetent, but unqualified to be the DA now, defeating the incumbent, Flynn Brody. And his last name is spelled Brody like Nate Brody. So we're going to talk about that. And Pat King update, which we're going to do over on the Rumble side of things. So share the link around. Go tweet it out if you haven't done it yet. If you're new to the channel, Viva Fry, in case you haven't seen it, got 1 Viva Fry here, 2 Viva Fry there, 3 Viva Fry there. Hold on. We got 1 Viva Fry there with the logo. That's 4 now. What do we got in the back? Oh, yeah, that's the picture of James Top. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Viva Fry. David Fry, former Montreal litigator turned current Florida Rumbler. This is the live stream portion of the day's coverage of news, law, and all things interesting. We start on Rumble, YouTube, and vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Then we end on YouTube because we vote with our eyes and we vote with our dollar. We go over to Rumble, or you can bypass that and just come over to vivabarneslaw.locals.com. Rumble rants, you all know the rules. YouTube takes 30% to super chats. If you want to support the channel, the best way, $10 a month or $100 a year at vivabarneslaw.locals.com for tons of exclusive content. And actually, now that I mention it, hyphen, if you're watching, I'm going to text you and see if you can pop in later at the locals exclusive part of the show. Can you make it around 2 o'clock for the locals portion? ? All right. Before we even get anywhere, people, and it's going to be a relevant theme of the day. Vivek Ramaswamy said we're heading towards a 1776 moment. Mutatis, because we are heading into times where it feels like there is an element of subversion in order to take over the freest, most beautiful democracy, democratic republic. It's a distinction without a difference to many, depending on how we understand the term. We understand what we're talking about. It feels like there's a subversive effort to end these United States of America. It feels like there's a subversive effort to end the wonderful, what I thought was a free country of Canada, and it looks like they're a little bit ahead of the curve up in Canada. We're going to get there in a second. We're approaching our 1776 moment, to quote Vivek. What came before 1776? Booyah, people, 1775. This is the sponsor of today's show, and it's delicious coffee that I actually drink every morning. Maybe not every morning, because sometimes we run out, and I got to go to that crappy other coffee. 1776. If you don't like coffee that will put hair on your chest, you might not like 1775, but if you like coffee that tastes like something, I always think about that scene out of Pulp Fiction. Yeah, when Bonnie gets the coffee, it tastes like shit. When I get the coffee, I like to taste it. And then Samuel Jackson's like, oh, you got that gourmet shit. This is gourmet coffee. It's delicious. And if you're tired of being a sleepy Joe, we're going to get to another highlight of Joe. This is what you want. Scared of walking upstairs without being worried you're going to fall down. Joe Biden's the only guy who can actually fall upstairs. It's quite miraculous. Do you struggle to muster the focus and brain power for basic things in the morning, like eating ice cream or riding a bike? You need to stop drinking woke liberal coffee and start your day by drinking Rumble's very own 1775 coffee. Never mind that it's the best tasting coffee you've had in your life. It's delicious. It's also ethically sourced from a family-run farm, high-altitude mountains of Bolivia. So instead of waking up tomorrow and drinking your mold-infested, big corporation-owned woke ideology coffee that's probably making you sick with all the pesticides they put in it, try 1775 coffee. It's delicious. Support freedom. Support the parallel economy that we know that we need. 1775.com/Viva or promo code Viva. Whatever. The link's in the description. You'll get 10% off your first order, so make it a big one so you get that sweet, sweet Viva rebate. They got medium dark peaberry. I take my coffee like I take my men, short and strong. I mean, like I take me. I like the strong coffee. If I don't taste it, there's no point in drinking coffee. It's delicious. Viva promo code 1775 coffee.com. Links in the description. And thank you very much to our wonderful sponsor. All right. I had one more thing before we get into the Canadian side of things. It was another clip of Joe Biden, which is, it's funny. It happened so quickly. But when I consider myself to be reasonably good at reading people. Watch the clip and we'll see what happens.
The laws, look, the bottom line is
there was more to
being sure we get it done without a lot of complication. The law invests in new facilities, new research, more healthcare workers.
You appreciate what happened, all right? Dude's reading off a teleprompter, and clearly, I don't know how it works when they tell you, go to the other camera. Like they go, teleprompter here, okay, shift, now go to this one. Clearly, the teleprompter started off with the law and then said, turn to the right, turn to the left. And he got confused. So look, you can see it. He's like, the law. Look, people, bottom line.
The law is, look, the bottom line.
This had nothing to do with what he was saying.
People not being sure we get it done.
Now he catches it here. The law
invests in new
back to the line.
New research, more healthcare workers.
He can sure read good.
Hospitals.
It was it's amazing, by the way. You know, as it relates to that debate that they've allegedly agreed to, and Trump says, you know, I want to test them for drugs. Let the dude take all the drugs on earth. Make sure he doesn't have a teleprompter. Make sure he doesn't have an earpiece, because that dude, Joe, is going to get his shriveled old butt handed to him if they actually do this debate. Although I would like to know if Joe's on taking drugs to help with cognitive impairments. But it's amazing. It's easy to notice when Biden is on drugs and when he's off them. When on Adderall, he talks like he's on speed. What would happen if I took Adderall? Would that calm me down or would that make me worse? I find that when I have a Red Bull, it actually calms me down. But I'm told that's what happens when you have ADHD and you take the stuff that would otherwise make a normal person hyperactive. It makes a hyperactive person less hyperactive. I don't take any of that stuff at all because I have a morbid some might say rational. I consider it an irrational fear of any drugs that impact the brain chemistry, except gin and a nice martini, because you can really calibrate that easily. When I was a kid and I used to get migraines, the doctor wanted to prescribe me a very, like a low dose antidepressant that would relax, I don't know, help with the migraines, and I just refused to take it. And by the way, I didn't share this with anybody yesterday. I had an ocular migraine yesterday, or it's called a migraine aura. Holy hell, if it hadn't happened to me once before, I would have panicked and thought I was dying like it did the first time I had it. I'm sitting here, trying to like edit the video together, my Harrison Butker analysis, which people didn't seem to want to watch, but whatever. And I'm sitting there and I can't see something out of my eye. It's like totally blurred, like I just stared at the sun, which I hadn't. And there was like a zigzag rainbow pattern around the blur. And like it happened to me once before. And it's like, oh, this has to be the same thing. The last time I thought I was having a stroke, I ran to the eye doctor and they said, no, you're having an ocular migraine. And did I see waves? It was like a zigzag rainbow. It was exactly like the image in Wikipedia. And I could not read with that. And it was actually both eyes. And I thought I was going to die. And then after I stopped panicking, took my blood pressure, wasn't a stroke. It went away after about an hour. But wild. Ocular migraine, migraine aura, A-U-R-A. Look it up. Yeah, trippy. I was like, I imagine this is what DMT feels like, except my mental capacity was all there. All right, enough with the hypochondriacy, people. Let's get into today's show. Before we get into Donald Trump, that sounds gross. Before we get into the story of, what people are claiming was an attempt to fabricate an assassination of Donald Trump, or at least greatly increase the odds of it potentially happening. When people say, you're a crazy conspiracy theorist, and then it's not happening, but it's good that it is. Yeah. You all remember that racist conspiracy theory known as the Great Replacement Theory, that the governments of our Western nations, close this, are trying to replace the current contingency, the current demographic, with an imported demographic. And everyone says it's a conspiracy theory. It's not happening, and it's racist. You got to throw in the racist, because if you don't throw in the racist, it's a little bit harder to discredit somebody. So I've said this before. I'll say it again, and call me whatever the hell you want, because I'm done with it. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's reality, and I'll prove it to you now. And it's not based on race. So anybody arguing that it's racist, they're the racist because they think immigrant, they think race. It's not racist. It's not even racially motivated. It's not even racially, predicated. It's purely political. And it's a reality that the liberals up in Canada, the Democrats here in America, are trying to import the next generation of voters because they cannot succeed in convincing the current demographic, the current constituents to vote for them. And so what they have to do is drown them out by importing the vote. They're doing it up in Canada. They're doing it in the States. Anybody who says they're not doing it is living with their head up their ass, not in the sand, because ostriches don't actually put their heads in the sand. They don't put them up their ass either, but I like that visual a lot better. It's real. It's not racially based. It's purely politics driven. And it's purely any immigrant will do so long as they'll vote Democrat or liberal. Cubans? No. Democrats don't like Cuban immigrants. It's a very weird thing. I'm going to take this out for a second. It's something that I never appreciated. The only time American Democrat liberals, progressives care about restricting immigration, illegal immigration, is when they think Russians are coming over the border. And when they know Cubans are coming over the border, because for whatever the reason, Cubans tend to be conservative. It might be because they're fleeing communism, so they don't want to support communism. All of a sudden, Democrats want stricter immigration laws when it comes to Cubans, when it comes to Russians, white Russians. That's a drink, right? It is a drink. But the bottom line, it is an importation of the next generation of vote. When they say that Canada's population has record growths, it's driven 97+% by immigration. They can't convince the current voters to vote for their awful, shitty policies that destroy the nation, so they have to import them through favor, payments, bribery, whatever, so they can import the next generation. But don't take my word for it. And by the way, the Great Replacement is real, it's true, and it's not race-based. So take it and shove it, anybody up there who says otherwise. And if you had any doubts about it, listen to this. The Great Replacement is not happening, but it's good that it is, and we're going to give it a cute little euphemism. Listen to what's being said here. This guy, I forget his name, is... I should probably double check this. If I forget, I keep forgetting his name. Randy Boissonneau. Randy Boissonneau. C'est un peu député Edmonton Centre. He's Edmonton Centre deputy, whatever. He's with the Liberal Party, and as you can tell, he's got to tell us exactly everything about his identity. He's telling us his sexual preferences here. I love it. It's beautiful. Nothing wrong with it, but It's weird. If they had a heterosexual flag, would it be weird if I put it in my banner? It would be. But don't worry. It tells you that he's a virtuous scumbag. That's what it tells you. Okay. Randy Boissonneau puts this TikTok video up. It's such a piece of crap of a TikTok video. I thought he posted it by accident, but pay close attention to what he's saying here.
That's why foreign credential recognition is so important, because we have people that have been trained to be dentists and physiotherapists and pharmacists and nurses in other countries. We have people ready to build.
Okay, so it's very hard to hear what the hell's going on in this terribly edited, incongruent piece of political propaganda rubbish, but I'll translate for you.
That's why foreign credential recognition is so important, because
that's why foreign credential recognition is so important.
We have people that have been trained to be dentists and physiotherapists.
Because we have people that have been trained to be dentists and physiotherapists.
Pharmacists.
Nurses.
In other countries.
In other countries.
People ready to build.
And they're people ready to build. What do you call it?
That's why foreign credential recognition.
Foreign credential recognition. Foreign credential recognition. It's not happening, people, but it's a good thing that it's happening. And it's not called the Great Replacement, you racist bastard. It's called foreign credential accreditation. And why? Well, because our healthcare system's turning to shit, because current people who are trained in the country are emigrating at record levels. But don't worry, emigration is not a problem, because illegal immigration or opening the borders is replacing that number. So you don't have to worry about the immigrants or those who are emigrating, taking their wealth, taking their taxes, taking their intellect, and fleeing the communist hellhole that's pushing them out. Don't worry about that, because the population is growing. It just happens to be through open borders. And we have people trained abroad to now be brought in, instead of training the people we have at home and instead of alluring the people we have at home to stay at home. Foreign credential recognition. It's not happening, but it's a good thing that it's happening, and it's called foreign credential recognition. That's the tweet. And I tweeted out a few times about that yesterday because I couldn't get the right angle. Viva is multilingual French, English, Hebrew, and liberalism interprets all. My Hebrew is quite rusty, but I think if I spent enough time around people who only speak Hebrew, I like to not let people know I understand what they're saying in Hebrew when they're talking. So if they're insulting me, okay, that's terrible. I don't speak. So that's it. It is happening. They're telling you it's happening. They're just giving it a new name, and you're a bigot for noticing. All right, now we can get into the Trump. Okay, so this is the story, people. Julie Kelly breaks it. She is. I was in touch with her this morning. She is. I mean, it's an amazing thing. There's too much going on. One cannot be a jack of all trades, and one needs to pick the brains of people who are the experts in their field, so as to bring that to the fore and put it on blast. Julie Kelly is following the Florida case and the DC case, the Florida classified documents Mar-a-Lago raid. She's following that thoroughly before Judge Eileen Cannon. She's following the Jack Smith insurrection case out of DC before Judge Chutkan. And so she broke this story yesterday, and I saw it, and I trust Julie Kelly because she has been reliable, accurate, and honest. And she posted this. Now, I trust her, but nonetheless, trust but verify, because there's some people you don't trust and you verify. There's some people you don't trust and you don't even verify because you know they're lying. Aaron T. Rupar, I'm looking at you. And then there's other people you trust. I trust her, but I read this, and it's not that I have to verify whether or not Julie Kelly is being honest. I have to just verify whether or not this says what it says. Julie Kelly says, tons of new unsealed filings on classified docs case. This is out of Florida. I will try to post as much as I can. There goes the workout, but this is mind-blowing. In bold, FBI authorized the use of deadly force at Mar-a-Lago. Okay? And remember, people, the Great Replacement theory is not happening. It's a conspiracy theory, but it is happening, and it's called foreign accreditation, and you're a racist for noticing. Nobody authorized the use of force. Okay, but it's always been authorized, so it's no big deal. Just like it's not happening, but it is happening, and it's no big deal. FBI authorized the use of deadly force at Mar-a-Lago. This is from the raid. This is from the filing. According to an, quote, operations order, end quote, produced in discovery, the FBI believed its objective for the Mar-a-Lago raid was to seize, quote, classified information, NDI, national defense information, and U.S. government records as described in the search warrant, end quote. The order contained a, quote, policy statement, quote, end quote, regarding, quote, use of deadly force, end quote, which stated, for example, quote, law enforcement officers of the Department of Justice may use deadly force when necessary. The agents plan to bring standard issue weapons, ammo, handcuffs, medium and large size bolt cutters, but they were instructed to wear unmarked polo or collared shirt. I was going to say cola red. That's great. Collared shirts and keep law enforcement equipment concealed. Now, it also said like, we're all getting hung up on the use of deadly force. I put more emphasis on they were told to come unmarked. So you have unmarked armed people showing up at Mar-a-Lago for a raid. How the hell can that go wrong? I mean, that's the more shocking. They're not raiding an alleged suspected crack dealer in some high crime area. They're raiding the former president of the United States of America and leading presidential candidate in an election cycle, and they're going unmarked onto Mar-a-Lago to raid it. This is the president. Someone shows up unmarked on my property, there'll be questions. Unmarked people showing up to carry out a raid on President Trump's Mar-a-Lago property, I won't say that should be the bigger red flag in all this, but that should be a very sizable red flag. So this is the news. Mind-blowing, mind-breaking. I'll give everybody the link. And the internet went ablaze. Before I jump in on the dog pile, or what is it? Before I jump in on it, I've got questions because reading that statement, here's the link to Julie Kelly. Reading it, it kind of sounds like a boilerplate template. You know, it's like when you file an affidavit, it's going to contain certain words and there are certain statements that are the beginning and the end. Reading it, it sort of sounded like it's a template, it's a boilerplate model that it's in all of the FBI raid authorizations. Okay. Maybe. And that's where part of the internet went. Let me just get some of the people who said that's it's just par for the course. I know I brought some of them up here. Here we go. I'm not sure. Here we go. Okay, so this is in response to Alex Malin. I don't know who these people are, but I'm just picking the brains of the interwebs. New FBI releases rare statements. Says standard protocol, end quote, was followed. Quote, no one ordered additional steps to be taken, and there was no departure from the norm in this matter. No departure from the norm in this matter, where you have a departure from the norm in raiding the former president and leading presidential candidate's property for documents. Not crack, not drugs, not arms running like Obama did, not gun running, for documents. The president, FBI. It's standard protocol. Now, I happen to like Mike Davis and respect his intelligence. Standard protocol, he says. This makes it worse for Biden and Garland. Biden personally waived Trump's claim of executive privilege. Garland personally approved this unprecedented raid. For presidential records, Trump was allowed to have under the Presidential Records Act, while Garland secretly colluded with Biden over his stolen classified records Biden illegally shared with his girl ghostwriter for his $8 million book. It's even worse. Biden and Garland authorized this raid on Trump. Knowing deadly force is standard protocol. I respect this take much more than most. Because two things can be true, and the fact that one of them is true might be the more outrageous part of this entire situation. Oh, it's just standard protocol, says the FBI. Like, whenever we show up to places, we always have the license to kill, Just ask Scott Weaver, Ruby Ridge. Just ask the folks at Waco. Just ask that guy, the 78-year-old blind handicapped dude who got shot dead on his property by the FBI for posting mean memes on Facebook. Yeah, we always have the authorization to shoot and kill, whether it's no one's above the law, whether it's Joe Schmo, Scott Weaver, or Donald Trump. We have the authorization to shoot and kill. Standard protocol. No biggie. We didn't change anything for this. Oh, I'm sorry. That might actually make it worse. The fact that the FBI has this authorization and that it's used willy-nilly, and that it goes south, sideways, haywire, more often than not. No, but it's standard. It's standard that the FBI goes in and murders people. It's standard the FBI goes in and blows up buildings and kills children. I'm talking Waco. It's standard that they go in and things escalate because nobody knows what the hell is going on. It's standard. We do it all the time. Oh, that should make it okay. Bongino. This here we go. Who's he in response to? I see that when you're in incognito, you don't get the response. This is absolutely a big deal. Don't buy the bullshit otherwise. It was not a standard op. The Mar-a-Lago raid was an unprecedented action with significant potential for confusion and blue-on-blue issues and conflict. Especially if they're, as per that, that wasn't the highlighted section of what Julie Kelly put out, plain-clothed, armed, approaching the president's property. Where was I? It also involved competing equities between federal agencies, FBI and United States Secret Service, with equal statutory claims to interrupt the other's activities. Bongino is right and Bongino is smart. That's why I listen to Bongino. Anyone telling you otherwise is either dumb or playing dumb. I've done more deconfliction with Russians in a foreign operation I did for the United States Secret Service than the FBI did in their search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. Let me read that again. I've done more deconfliction with Russians in a foreign operation I did for the U.S. Secret Service than the FBI did in their search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. Only a dumbass would pitch the "it's standard paperwork" line. Go serve a search warrant at the White House in the cocaine case while filling out your standard paperwork and see how that works for you. Wake up. That's Bongino. So I pick his brain. I like what he has to say because it makes more sense than the "it's just standard operating procedure." It's just standard operating procedure that these highly militarized secret police forces that go and get illegal, unlawful spy warrants from secret courts. It's totally standard op that they have the right to shoot and kill whoever the hell they want if they think it's necessary. Remember, people, this is the same FBI that falsified evidence to get an unlawful spy warrant against Carter Page by literally falsifying evidence, Kevin Kleinsmith, and submitting it to a judge and getting a secret FISA court to issue an unlawful spy warrant while they were simultaneously saying, we're not spying on Donald Trump. Oh, well, we trust them so much that this is just standard protocol. Don't ask questions and live with the secret Stasi, the secret service, or the secret police, I should say, of the president that can go after a president. But then there was another one, which I also thought was, mildly problematic take on the whole thing. And I'm not making fun of him. I think I like him. I think he's a fine man. I just, I question some of his judgment. And this is yet another circumstance in which I question Steve Baker's judgment. The last time was over that horrible video of James O'Keefe not coming to the rescue of a drunk woman at a bar who seemingly was 19 years old working for Chuck Schumer. Terrible, terrible position there. And it's a terrible position here. To those of you claiming that the Mar-a-Lago document raid was, quote, an assassination attempt by the FBI, end quote, and the, quote, Secret Service were also in on it, that's not what anybody's saying. They're actually saying the Secret Service could have been the one that could have initiated violence with the FBI if they see unmarked people showing up with guns at Mar-a-Lago. I have to assume you also believe that both FBI and Secret Service had no idea Trump was in New York at the time of the raid. So there's two things that are problematic with this. A, it assumes that the FBI, which is a corrupt institution, would not act corruptly and do something deliberate to provoke. A. B, it assumes that the FBI, which has a history of bungling things, and I mean bungling, like showing up at the wrong address, unloading firearms into the wrong place, killing the wrong people because they showed up at the wrong place with busting down doors at 6 a.m. It assumes that the FBI has perfect intelligence, even if they thought they knew that Trump would be in New York, even if Trump was in New York, that they don't fuck up, because they do. And Scott Weaver's family can tell you about it. Scott Weaver can tell you about it. The survivors of Waco can tell you about it. The family of the dude who they summarily executed after a raid that is intended to provoke a response can answer to that. So the idea that, they knew he wasn't there, as if their compromised intelligence or whatever intelligence they think they have is infallible. So even if they thought he wasn't going to be there, it could still be wrong and lead to conflict, and understandably so. That being said, and I said this to Steve in my reply, let's just accept your premise for the sake of argument. Okay. FBI knew Trump wouldn't be there. So they have a raid which has the standard protocol of authorizing the use of deadly force, raiding the former president and leading presidential candidate's property when they know he's not there. I'm sorry, which one is worse, actually? Accepting the premise. Yeah, they knew he wasn't going to be there. That's when they decide to raid. Well, holy shit. I trust the corrupt FBI not to do corrupt things when they've done corrupt things. As relates to this president, barely 8 years ago, to be there when he's not there, when he might not have representation, when they can go in and do God knows what, turn off cameras, falsify evidence again. Oh, they wouldn't do that in 2024. They got caught for that in 2016. And I don't believe it. So, period. It's a lose-lose, Steve. If they knew that he wasn't there, A, they could be wrong and he could still be there and it would lead to confrontation. B, that it's standard operating procedure to use deadly force is the problem, not the explanation, not the way around it. C, if they knew he wasn't going to be there and he wasn't there and they went anyhow, that's a bit of a problem too. A corrupt institution with demonstrable, proven, recent corruption in its history and present raiding the former president and leading presidential candidate when they know he's not there to do God knows what. Oh, maybe falsify the evidence if they submitted to court there. I mean, this is in this case. You're talking about a corrupt FBI who Steve Baker thinks it's a saving grace that they went when they knew he wasn't there, falsifying evidence in this case. Just understand that they falsified evidence in this case. That let me get that picture, the porn that everybody needed, the anti-Trump porn. Google FBI raid Trump docs. Let's just get the images. That infamous document, that infamous picture. Hold on, is this going to be it? Yeah, that's not going to be it. I'll bring it up on the research results. That infamous photo of the classified docs. And look at this. Oh my goodness, people. How did he know? How could he say he didn't know that it had, what the heck? How could he say that he didn't know that it was classified? Look at that. It's got top secret cover sheet on it. Trump is a liar, stealing classified nuclear secrets. It says it right there. Top secret NCI or whatever that is. SCI. It says it right there. Oh yeah, that cover sheet. The FBI printed it and brought it. The FBI put that cover sheet on the documents they splayed out on the floor to set up the orgy of evidence so they could set up the president. That's the same FBI that Steve Baker thinks it's a good thing that they knew that Trump wasn't going to be there. That way they could falsify evidence without him even being able to be there to witness it. By the way, that was Julie Kelly also who reported that they falsified the cover sheets for that document. So that's it. It is a big freaking deal. And it's a big freaking deal, even if the explanation is it's standard operating procedure. You're raiding the former president and leading presidential candidate in an election season with an agency that has a mild history of using excessive deadly force when carrying out these raids. That it's standard operating procedure is a problem in and of itself. That they're applying the standard operating procedure to the highly unstandard, unprecedented, groundbreaking, earth-shattering raids on a president is a problem. Oh, well, just, it says it right there. President, no one's above the law. President Trump's a regular person like everybody else. So we get to, use the same deadly force against him that we do against anybody else. That's even worse, you dumbasses who are repeating standard operating procedure. Standard operating procedure, well, we're not going to go and amend that and just say, no, you don't get to use deadly force when raiding a president. Well, why not? I said it before. I'll say it again. And I believe that it's now being evidenced. They are trying to manufacture an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. They're trying to manufacture a fatal attack on Donald Trump. I said it when they made him show up in Georgia for his mugshot. And some people said it was for humiliation purposes. I don't think it was. Maybe a little bit of A and a little bit of B. It's to get him exposed to lunatics who will do bad things to him. This was a pretext to potentially, who knows, maybe it was like 93% chance it wouldn't happen. But there was a 7% chance that they could say shootout at Mar-a-Lago when Secret Service opens fire on FBI who were just carrying out a totally normal raid for documents on a former president when they had been in negotiations with him for those very documents for a year plus. Didn't guarantee it. It was probably an unlikely event, but my goodness, by virtue of the standard operating procedure, it became far more likely than it ever should have been. This is a corrupt, third world, banana republic, kangaroo court government. That is, that when they say Putin assassinates his enemies, well, holy shit, what do you think you're doing right now? Oh, we didn't do it. Nothing happened. It's standard protocol when we just issue a totally corrupt FBI to raid and have the authorization to use lethal force on the former president and leading presidential candidates. I'm sweating like a flipping, I won't say pig because, so that's that. So that's my take. Any idiot saying standard operating procedure is an idiot because even if that's true, that's a bigger problem. I put out a tweet. I said, yes, it's an amazing thing. The Democrats, the liberals, the progressives, the won't someone think of the minorities when it comes to criminal justice reform are now sitting there saying, well, standard operating procedure that a highly militarized, corrupt FBI can shoot and kill whoever the hell they want. What are you going to do? Them's the rules. Morons. Let me make sure that I got everything here. Okay, we got this. Oh yeah, no, this is how you know that. This is how you know, like predictive. I don't need to trust but verify the Chinese spy banging dickhead that is Rip Eric Swalwell. I know that he's wrong. This lie is so dangerous. Its intent is to inspire violence against President Biden and Democrats in a perverted sense of self-defense. MAGA can't win with votes, so they choose violence. Holy sweet, merciful confession through projection hell. Could you be any dumber and more disgusting? Eric Swalwell. The lie is dangerous. You know, this is the old adage. You know, it's like crying out as the person beats you. This lie is, first of all, it's not a lie. The Biden DOJ and FBI were planning to assassinate President Trump and gave the green light. I made sure that he knew. This is hyperbolic. They were planning to assassinate. They were planning to facilitate a situation that would result in the death of. They did. Not a lie. Its intent is to inspire violence against President Trump and Democrats. Oh, you mean like when all of your side there calls Trump a Nazi, Hitler, existential threat to humanity, never survive a second presidency. Oh, okay. In a perverted sense of self-defense, they cry as they strike. They cry as they strike you. I know it's historically used as an anti-Semitic trope. The reality is it's an iteration of confession through projection. This is the abusive spouse who's beating his spouse and saying, "You made me do this." MAGA can't win with votes, so they choose violence. Might I introduce you to the summer of love, you moron, Swalwell? Might I introduce you to the ballot harvesting? We got to make it so easy to vote because we want everyone sitting from their front couch to vote often and vote regularly. Vote early and vote often. Can't win on votes, so we choose violence. Thank you for describing 2020. And thank you for describing exactly what you're lining up for 2024. Okay, I think we covered it. Yeah, this was Steve Baker. Okay, done. So yeah, it's a big fucking deal. If I can quote Joe Biden. Now I've missed some super chats. Felix says FBI made their bones killing gangsters ever since cross-dresser John Edgar Hoover was in charge. FBI made their bones killing gangsters. The only problem is they've you guys got. I mean, everybody knows what Ruby Ridge is about, but everyone should. It was the chapter in John Ronson's something about extremism, them or us. I forget what it is, but the chapter on Ruby Ridge and Scott Weaver and his 14-year-old son getting murdered by agents, their dog getting killed by agents. It's a past, present, and future. It's a corrupt organization with the power to kill. What can be worse? Feds ended women and children with fire and bullets. That I have no doubt you're talking about Waco, Felix. Yeah, Waco. They could have arrested David Koresh anywhere in town. They could have arrested him when he went to, I think he went often to Waco on his walk. No, they chose to initiate a circumstance that would inevitably and necessarily lead to violence. That old blind handicapped, I got to get his name because the one who they just recently killed. Let me see here. FBI Facebook post 78 blind. I mean, these are the words. Let me see here. Killed in raid. Facebook post threatened. I can't. Someone's going to get the name. Here we go. I believe it's Craig Robertson. Let me just make sure here. Yeah, this is it. Craig Robertson shot dead in FBI raid linked to threats against Biden top Dems. It's standard protocol. Go raid a guy at 6 a.m. An armed Utah man was shot and killed by FBI agents during Wednesday morning raid linked to assassination threats against Biden, yada, yada. The deadly shooting occurred in Provo around 6:15 a.m. When the feds tried to serve an arrest and search warrants at the home. The FBI, federal complaint obtained by the Post from the Utah U.S. Attorney's Office identified the suspect, 75-year-old Craig Robertson. An agency confirmed the one who struck by gunfire an agency confirmed that one person struck by gunfire had died, but did not share any further details. The FBI takes all shooting incidents involved our task force in a serious idea. In accordance with FBI policy, the shooting incident is under review by the FBI's inspection division. This was what better if you're dealing with a man who's paranoid, maybe mentally unwell. Apparently he was blind, which I'm saying was physically handicapped. Go for a 6:15 a raid. Go first thing in the morning. Don't track him and know that you're dealing with a man who's physically disabled and wait for a proper time. Do it in a way that will provoke a response so that you can run with lethal force. When I had on Alpha, oh geez, Louise, I'm gonna forget his name now. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I actually, for goodness sake, One of the guys who got raided by the cops, stun grenades at 6 a.m, hoping that someone comes out with a gun so they can use their lethal force. Oh, Lordy. Viva, great news delivery as usual. Keep it up, brother, says Murph's Kicks on Instagram. Murph. Oh, yeah. Hold on. We're doing it. Oh, don't bang my head coming up. Don't bang my head coming up. I bang my head coming up. Oh, Murph. These are the old ones. Murph's Kicks. Oh, hold on 1 second. It's on the inside. I've worn these in places you're not supposed to wear shoes. Murphs_kicks on Instagram. Thank you very much, Murph. And let's just get through these super chats here. FBI since July 26, 1908, and they made their bones not on arrests, but killing. Oh, I see what you're saying. But on killing bad guys. Yep. No. And then we got Felix Fried Pie. The FBI is a government-sponsored criminal gang. Yeah, maybe a good idea for Trump not to promise them a new building for their troubles. Maybe. Okay, that ends the Trump news, and that's my take on it. So I think I've picked the brains on both sides. Big brains, small brains, liars, and people who are just free to be wrong. And that's my analysis. What was the other thing that was in the headline that I said we're going to cover here? Oh, Georgia. That's right, Georgia. Georgia. Maybe we'll save the Georgia for the locals only after part. Let me see something here. Yeah, locals isn't working. Oh, no, hold on a second. No, that's not locals. Let me see. Is it locals? Oh, no, hold on. Locals looks like it's working now. Come on. Hold on. I'm just going to refresh. Live stream has not started yet. Cripe. Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this. That sucks. Well, sorry, locals, but it was not that. It's not my fault because it was set up and I have the RTPM. I'm just going to add it again and see what happens. Custom and custom here. It's not a neglect and it's not having forgotten locals. And let's add RTPM and save. Cripe. Save changes. Let's see if it just kicked the last one. Okay, go back and we're going to hit refresh and see if this did anything. Chat's up but no stream. Not good. Okay, so hold on. Let me just try one more thing before we go on to the Georgia story. Edit. We shall remove. Okay, remove this one. Okay. And then we're going to add. Okay, hold on. This might make it work. And this is still not my fault, people. I'm just creating another backup. Refresh. Hold on. I didn't hit save yet. Okay. No, it's just not working. Although what happens if I just go like this? I've added the RTPM. I've saved it. I've added the locals. Anyways, I don't think it's going to work today, and I don't know why. But maybe if I just go like start stream. So now I think you're going to see it, but only because you're not going to see it when I bring up the videos because I'm just running the stream directly on locals without going through StreamYard. Yeah, but it says there we go. But this is just to explain what's happening. I've got the window and the stream open of locals in the background, and I've started the live stream, but directly through the locals interface, not through StreamYard. So the RTPM is not working for whatever the reason, but at least you'll see in real time the same camera, but you will not be able to see, for example, when I bring up an article, you won't be able to see it already under fire. Like for this, for example, right now on the stream, we're going to see the article, but if I go to locals, you're not going to see the article. Okay. So anyways, that's it. We're just running it on. We're running it on two different platforms, so you're not going to see the articles as I bring them up. All right. Sorry about that, but everyone should just. Oh, that's going to suck for the after party. So I'm going to have to start. Okay, whatever. It doesn't matter. Now I'm sure it's. Look at this. It made me nervous. Just use one of my scrunchies and absorb some of the sweat because it's gotten very hot in this house. Do we have Rumble rants that I haven't gotten to? Let me see here. Are we having a problem on Rumble as well? No, we're good on Rumble. Okay, good. Sorry about that. All right, so then we'll cover something quickly before we go. Or you know what? Let's just forget it. We're going to go over to Rumble. The Trump going over to Rumble for the Fanny. So let me give everybody the link. Bada bing, bada boom. Link to Rumble. And come on over. I don't have any inside news, but I've been... Yeah, so one of our members has been bad gateway and Cloudflares all morning. Locals went down again. Okay, so yeah, well, that's it. You know what? Maybe we'll just keep it on. Forget. We're going to Rumble. Come on over to Rumble. There's the link. Ending on YouTube. Yeah, see, now I got a red exclamation point for the locals RTPM. Okay. Ending on YouTube. Come on over to Rumble. VivaBarnesLaw.locals.com. We're going to have our after party regardless. Here we come.